The Florida Podcast Network, the voice of Florida. This is episode 2A of the Finding Florida podcast on the Florida Podcast Network, The Animals of Route 1, Part 1.
Welcome to Finding Florida, the podcast that takes you from country to the coast. Join your tour guides, an unlikely pair, city girl Jemmy and country boy Glenn, as they explore the amazing sights and sounds of the Sunshine State.
I'm your girl from the coast, Jemmy.
And I am Glenn from Horse Country in Ocala. Thank you for joining us on the lead up to our second adventure on the Finding Florida podcast.
There are so many ways to explore critter life here in Florida, from swimming with dolphins to exploring zoos and sanctuaries to diving into all the yummy ocean-based meals at Florida's famous waterside restaurants. And we just embarked on a trip up Route 1 in South Florida to explore some of the animal encounters along the way. So you'll hear all of that in the next episode. But on this episode, Glenn and I get into Florida's unique animal life, the good, the bad, and the weird, what makes Route 1 so special, and why we focused on it. And of course, we make fun of each other the whole way through. Listen in.
This primeval paradise of Florida.
Just a quick reminder for all of you early fans of the Florida Podcast Network to go ahead and jump into the FPN Insiders on Facebook. It's a closed group exclusively for super fans of our shows, such as the Finding Florida podcast, and we'll give you guys access to early scoops, contests, and other special treats. So Glenn and I look forward to meeting you in there.
You know, we had such a good time riding up Route 1 and checking out all the cool animal things that were in your part of the state down there.
I know, and I had such a good time giving you side-eye as you drove super slow.
Wait a minute.
God,
there is
man.
no way to drive fast on Route 1. Let's start there. There's a traffic light every 10 seconds.
Okay, not always true, first of all. Second of all, I couldn't believe it. I could not. There are times when you actually stopped on yellow. I'm like, what are you doing, Glenn? Keep going.
There is a difference between Jemmy and I when it comes to driving, because she is crazy city driver, and I will never ride with her again.
I was trained by the best.
I will be driving all of the experiences from now on.
Except, hopefully, when we go to Daytona Beach in a couple of weeks. Hopefully,
we're all going to be driving.
Yeah. It's going to be exciting. So anyway, it was a really good time, and here are a couple clips.
There's a fairly new must-see spot, and it's called Manatee Lagoon, and Sarah's the manager, and we're sitting in her office right now. Now, we are here, the Manatee...
Let's be honest, we bombarded her.
Yeah, that's right.
She was kind of to let us in.
Friday afternoon, why not?
We're here, and you're doing an interview.
See, this show has interesting facts and safety tips.
That's right. That's right.
That's why I love it.
Right.
And we get to the frogs legs. He's like, have you ever tried that? I'm like, I've never, but of all the things in this case, for you.
We're fried. It tastes like chicken. Do I have to take a whole piece?
Yep, a whole piese, put it all in your mouth. One shot.
Thing?
One shot.
What's the yellow goof on the top?
Doesn't matter.
What is the yellow goof?
It doesn't matter.
There's yellow and red goof.
He's gonna love it. Full shot.
Okay, nothing about this looks
Full
good.
shot in your mouth. You remember where the bathroom was, right? Because you just went before you got here.
Oh, where's my napkin?
No, you are not spitting this out. You're not allowed to spit it out. You're not. I want.
Might be on your lap.
You need to. Okay. No.
So yeah, we had such a good time, and that's just a little bit of a tease there, Glenn. We had an amazing time, didn't we?
Yes, we did, and you'll hear all about it on the next episode. That's very cool.
And I know what your highlight was from the whole trip, and it involved a very special gator. But have you ever seen videos of those massive gators walking through a Florida golf course like nobody's business, Glenn?
I have, and I actually have encountered that in person. Now, it wasn't in Florida. It was in Myrtle Beach. We were golfing in Myrtle Beach, and there were two huge alligators on the green.
Ooh.
And we actually, it was a blind green, so we came around the corner. Our next shot was going to be onto the green, and by the way, we all got pars and moved on.
I don't blame you. Well,
I think that's the rule, actually. You all get pars and you just move on.
And the gators make the rules.
Yeah.
My son and I, we were in a wedding a couple of weeks ago, and the reception took place on a golf course in Boca, and I was kind of disappointed that I didn't see any gators wandering out there. I was
they
actually
shoot them away before the wedding.
I know, but that's okay. But for anyone who doesn't know about these huge dinosaur golf gators. We'll be playing a bit of a news clip here later, so stay tuned for that. And I grew up on a lake, Glenn, down here. There was a nice lake in my backyard. So it was all kinds of little random stuff like snakes. And I remember seeing an armadillo scurry by every once in a while. And yeah, we actually had a gator that lived in the lake in my own backyard. It was so crazy.
Of course, we're known for our weird animals down here. And, you know, we joked when we talked about doing this episode that every animal in Florida seems like it wants to kill you.
Yes. It wants to be
deadly.
left alone, and then it wants to kill you.
Even the bugs seem like they want to kill you.
Oh my gosh. Have you ever been running down the road or walking down the street, and then all of a sudden just that huge swarm of like gnats infests every orifice of your face?
And the pimento bugs, geez, they're just like, oh.
And good luck driving any long distance in Florida and not having your car just covered in love bugs.
Oh, and especially during a season that nobody else has either, and that is love bug season, twice a year.
Can't wait. Yay. Oh my god.
Look that up. You'll figure out what a love bug is.
So being country guy, have you ever had any crazy animal experiences?
In our neighborhood here in Ocala, was riding her horse last year in our neighborhood, and she came up across a snake, and it was a rattlesnake, but it was entirely stretched out on the road, and it covered more than half the road.
What?
It crossed the yellow line. That's how big the snake was. She stopped and took pictures. Her horse wanted to go up and say hi, and she stopped.
So wait a minute. I thought horses spook over like
this
nothing.
Horse just wanted to see what it was. But yeah, he wasn't really scared of anything. But yeah, and then that year they did. They actually killed 8 big rattlesnakes in our neighborhood that year. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not coming to Ocala.
We see black racer snakes you see all the time.
Right.
And they're very fast, and they're black, and they go,
right.
And they scare the crap out of you, and then they're gone. But yeah, snakes are not my favorite, and we do have a lot of them. But bugs are the thing we get all. I mean, if you have a house in Florida, you've had bugs, right?
Oh, yeah. I remember when I did come for a visit, and you were showing me the property, we took a walk, and I was like, shut up, Glenn. I just want to hear this unusual sound known as bugs. And because they were really, really loud. What were those? That couldn't be.
We have the frogs. We have the frogs and the cicadas, and just the whole thing, everything. Right.
It was very loud, but awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and but we get bugs in the house, those big roachy things.
Palmetto bugs.
Oh, man.
With the wings. They're flying roaches, guys.
Yeah. I mean, and you'll find them everywhere. I mean, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter. Everybody here gets their houses sprayed because you have to.
In fact, I just had the bug guy here this morning. No joke.
But I love the little lizards. That's something we have that I absolutely love. We love our little lizards.
They're cute. I do adore them. I used to catch lizards when I was little, sitting at the pool area and just to be running around on the screens, and I'd catch them.
Yep.
Tried to do no harm, but I wasn't always successful.
Yeah, of course, living on a farm. We had last year, in the spring, we had a family of red foxes that lived in our backyard, literally in our backyard.
Oh,
they used to drink out of the water troughs, and it was mommy and daddy red fox and 2 little cubs.
Oh.
They were so cute. Okay, so now let's get to this episode where we talk about some of the crazy critters of the Florida ecosystem. There are so many cool animals here, and on all different kinds of environments we have in Florida. It's a little bit of everything, from forest to swamp to ocean to flatlands, just a little bit of everything. And we're just going to touch on the surface of the animals here. But first, let's give some love to Route 1 and why we did that.
To be economically feasible, roads constructed now must last a generation or more. The highways of the year 2000 are already on the drawing boards. The driver tells the system where he wants to go. This information is transmitted to a receiving station, where the route is instantly tabulated and relayed back to the vehicle by short-range radio from alongside the road. If the driver makes a mistake, the computer corrects it, and the motorist is back on course. These systems are too expensive for immediate, widespread use. But through research, we're learning about them and pointing the way for the future.
Well, Route 1 is iconic here in the United States and actually dates back to the 1770s. It began, and of course, yeah, that's right. George Washington rode on many parts of Route 1, and Route 1 actually goes from Kent, Maine, all the way down to the Keys in Florida. It's 2,321 miles, and also there's 363 miles of it that are still unsurfaced, and that's in Maine, from Canada into Maine.
Get on with it, Maine. You've had since 1776.
A couple interesting things. There's now a 94-mile section between New York and Philadelphia that carries a heavier average traffic than any other road of its length in the world.
I think I saw that, which is insane. So that's another spot of Route 1 I won't be going on.
That's right.
I much preferred our drive.
Yeah, it's nice and quiet and not so many crazy people. And in 1802, stagecoaches were operated regularly between Boston and Savannah, Georgia on Route 1, and the travelers made their journey of 1,200 miles, get this, at an average speed of 53 miles per day. So it would take them 20 to 30 days to get there.
So they're even slower than you.
That's right.
That's amazing.
I set that up. And they could do that all for a remarkable low fare of $70, which seems like a lot in those days,
that
doesn't
does
it?
seem like a lot.
In 1802, yeah. So it would take you 30 days, cost you $70, and I imagine you really needed a bath and a shower when you got there.
All the dust and dirt. Ugh, gross, and bugs. Yay for modern technology. But out of that hundreds and thousands of miles of Route 1, we own in Florida 545 of those miles, and you and I got to travel along a small stretch of that through the South Florida part, and it was a lot of fun. And in fact, US 1, because yeah, you mentioned it starts in the Keys, but we're talking like it really starts in the Keys, including the Overseas Highway, which if you've seen any pictures, is this long stretch of road that's really just a really long flat bridge, essentially connecting the Keys to the mainland of Florida. And did it get pounded pretty hard by Irma, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. They really sustained a lot of damage in the upper part of the Keys.
Yeah. So here's to, if they still have to rebuild any of it, here's to those efforts.
They do. And I hope next year we get to make that drive and do an episode through the Keys.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. So we did get to see a lot of the different animal experiences on our little bit of a drive through our piece of Route 1 down here. You joined me in my area. Thank you so much. But one thing I've known since I was little and growing up down here is, there are lots of bugs, lots of different rodents, lots of different everything down here in Florida. And I grew up listening to this commercial, which is still, no pun intended, an earworm to this day in my brain. So you're welcome.
Say hello to TomoUSA. Say hello to TomoUSA and say goodbye to bugs. No termites, rodents, ticks and bees, spiders, roaches, rats and fleas. TomoUSA rids them with ease. Say hello to TomoUSA throughout the year, and you'll say only people live here. TomoUSA Pest Control. Say hello.
So as you can see from that commercial, there are so many different random things that drive us nuts down here in Florida with animals, but there're just so many different kinds. We have one of the most diverse ecosystems on the planet right here in Florida. So I'm going to share some facts with you, Glenn. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So one of the animals that we're known for down here in Florida are sharks. But did you know that 46% of all reported U.S. shark attacks, 46% occur in Florida? Oh my!
I didn't know that.
Gosh. So since they've started recording them, there have been 975 of these attacks.
Wow.
Insane. So quick tip. Most of these attacks happen in August. So if there's a time
when
to
the sharks
avoid,
are the hungriest, apparently.
Going in the water, it's August. A little take note. But after seeing a stat like that, it's 46% of all shark attacks happening in Florida. I just might not go ever again.
We avoided that on our trip, I noticed.
But yeah, so anyways, the sharks are one of those animals that everybody in Florida kind of knows about. Sharks, alligators, manatees. But one thing I know that no one really ever talks about, what's the most iconic animal in America, Glenn?
Of course, the bald eagle.
Absolutely. I'll never forget the first time I ever saw a bald eagle's nest. It was actually as I was driving on a field trip in 8th grade to head to space camp for the weekend. And there was a bald eagle nest off the side of the road, not on the road, but in a tree, but it was off the side of the road. And so, yeah, did you know that Florida, we have one of the densest concentrations of nesting bald eagles in the lower 48 states. There are about 1,500 nesting pairs of bald eagles right here in Florida.
We've been driving our carriages in Sarasota and seen bald eagles sitting right there in the yard 20 feet away from us.
What?
They were 20 feet away from us. And then last week we went out up here in Ocala and we took the carriages out again to a state park, and there was a bald eagle hunting. He was flying over the trees and hunting.
That must have been something.
That's kind of cool. It was very cool. Yeah, the only place I've ever really seen bald eagles is in Florida.
Yeah, I know. We got to see one nice and up close and personal at the zoo, which was nice. It was beautiful. You don't really appreciate it until you see them right
and how big they are. They're really big.
Yes.
There's a reason nobody messes with the bald eagle. None of the other birds mess with them.
I know. They're awesome.
Oh, and what you're going to talk about next is the reason I don't go with water much. So I'm just saying.
Have you ever been stung by these, Glenn? Have you ever been stung?
Yes, many times.
Oh, yeah. So what Glenn is referring to, it's something with no brain and no nervous system, but they're freaky as heck. Jellyfish. They are so weird. Man. They're beautiful, but weird. Aren't they weird?
Yeah, I don't like jellyfish. If I see a jellyfish in the water, I'm out.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a whole bunch of them swimming by or washed up or anything like that?
Well, I've seen them attached to people too.
What?
Yep.
That's horrifying.
Yeah.
Did they detach?
We're making Florida sound great, aren't we?
I know, right? We're doing a really splendid job. But luckily,
let's get off of them onto the next one, the dolphin. See, that's everything. Everybody can love the dolphins.
Everyone can love the dolphin. And I love the dolphins. I actually found some interesting stuff out that I never knew before about the dolphin. That they actually have a ton of teeth, between 80 and 100, but they don't chew their food. They literally just gulp their fish down in one fell swoop, which I didn't realize that. And
that was sort of like how Jemmy ate her sushi last week. You'll hear about the next episode too.
It was so good, Glenn. It was the dolphins and I have it right. I'm sorry, but the dolphins and I know what's best. You'll hear all that audio in the next episode. But yeah, they actually, use sonar to echolocate, as a lot of people know, but they don't have any vocal cords. All of the sound comes from the blowhole in the top of their head. I just find that fascinating. So yeah, there are so many wonderful animals that are native right here to Florida, like the dolphin, but there are also a lot of species that aren't from here, and they're kind of starting to take over, and very, very invasive, because Florida, it just is one of those places that is so tropical, and the climate is just so conducive to, if a foreign species is introduced, they can just kind of start growing and blossoming. And so we have those big lizards with the curly tails. We have pythons, we have iguanas, and all kinds of stuff that's just not supposed to be here, but it's here now, because usually through our fault, we bring them in as pets and whatever, and they get too big and we release them, and then they just
the pythons are becoming a real problem in the Everglades. They have annual hunts for them because they get huge. They get to 20 feet long, and they're eating everything, and it's just causing real problems. That's why there's open season pretty much on pythons. Yeah. But you really want to know what you're doing when you're hunting a python. I think.
Please, amateurs, don't go out there and just start looking around.
I think they even have training, and you have to get licensed for that.
I sure hope so. Why is this going to end very well for the python?
It's at lunch.
But one of the most invasive species, I don't know if you remember this story from a couple of years ago, but there were these huge, massive, giant snails. They're right. Insane.
That wasn't too long ago.
No, they're the giant African
and it made
snail.
national and international news.
It sure did. It sure did. And here, this is a sign. It was kind of it was put out by the USDA. Okay, so it was a really big deal. And this sign says it all. I'll just read for it. It says, "A major landscape and agricultural pest even eats stucco on homes." Stucco! They eat stucco. So it's a public health threat known to carry rat lungworm that may cause meningitis. Oh my!
Okay, rat lungworm doesn't sound like anything you really want to get.
No. Count me out. Oh Lord! But they're able to reproduce rapidly, which is so much better. One snail can lay 1,200 eggs in a year. That's crazy. And
these things were huge.
They're huge. They're
not like little snails you eat at escargot.
No. These are
Is it escargot, the snails?
I think so. Yeah, you got it. Way to go, A Bear. Really representing your name there, Mr. French. But yeah, so they can grow up to 8 inches in length, which is like the size of your hand.
They were everywhere, like by the thousands.
Oh, gosh, they came in first into Coral Gables, and it was because a religious leader there in Hialeah named Charles L. Stewart, he smuggled them into the country to make his followers drink the snail's mucus. Doesn't that sound so delicious?
Is that how it started?
Yes.
Oh, God.
And so since then, over 150,000 of these slimy creatures have been collected. Ugh. And I don't know what they do with them afterwards. I assume they're destroyed, but awful, awful. So I think they've gotten it finally under control because I haven't heard about it in a couple of months. Have you?
No, I have not heard about it this summer.
Yeah.
So maybe they finally... It was awful. People's houses were covered in them.
It was crazy.
Gross.
It was insane. And so crossing our fingers that the giant African snail is no more a problem in South Florida. And one thing we kept our eye out for as we were going up Route 1 are just the unusual animal crossing signs that we can see here, because there's stuff for land crabs, there's stuff for alligators, there's stuff for bats. I mean, every animal that you can imagine a land crossing sign for. An animal crossing
also flying foxes, which I think are like squirrels.
Yeah.
And there's actually a sign that says, warning, do not handle flying foxes. Well, now, is that something you see one fly by, you want to grab it? It's not something I've ever wanted to do.
I mean, even if it's flying directly at me, I'm just going to hit it. I'm not going to try to grab it. People are
now, I will tell you, when I've seen the panther signs, there's actually a signs for the Florida panther that crossings, and I've always been looking. I've always wanted to see a Florida panther, but I've never ever seen one. We're probably one of the very few too that have the signs for the manatee zones, and those are in the water.
We're probably the only one, I think. I don't know about if George or anybody else has them, but I think we might be the only ones. We're very special that way.
Yes, and we're going to learn more about manatees in the next episode as well.
Yeah, and if you guys want to see any of these animals live and up close and personal, they're actually live animal cams situated all throughout Florida. I had no idea about this, but they're really cool. You can see all these animals kind of doing their own thing and going about their business. So check out EarthCam, which is a great site to go to, earthcam.com. And another place that has a bunch is mangolinkcam.com. So go check those out. All right, so my friend and one of our listeners, Viviana!
We have a listener.
I know, we have the listener.
And I'm here.
She's here.
Live.
And she met us out at U-Tiki Beach. It's a Jupiter Inlet Marina, and it's located, funny enough, in Jupiter.
Go figure.
I know, and so we ran into her. She came out and joined us on our adventure, and we're going to do some trivia.
All right, I'm ready.
You ready?
I'm excited.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, first question. Here we go. Okay, so a large adult alligator can weigh as much as 1,000 pounds and may live to be A, 12 years old, B, 25 years old, or C, 30 years old.
Ooh, I should know the answer to this.
And why should you know the answer to this, Viv?
Because I've been on a lot of alligator tours.
Because you live in Florida. That's what we do.
Oh my gosh, I want to say 30.
Ding, 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 ding! She got it right. She got it right. All right, so how many of these alligators do you think that Florida is actually home to? A, 1.5 million, B, 7.4 million, or C, researchers are unable to determine.
Nobody wants to get in the swamp and count them.
Oh my
At least
gosh.
they try to determine, but none have yet survived.
I mean, 2 of the answers are very specific, and the other one's like, we don't
Yeah, we don't care.
I don't know. Gosh, I'm going to go with 7.5 million.
Very close, but wrong. Not really close. It's 1.5 million. So thankfully,
That's enough. 1.5 million.
I know. And this actually,
like 6 million more.
Yeah.
Just whatever. A day in the park.
That's a few less dogs and cats is what that is.
All right. So you know those big lizards we get down here with those curly tails?
Yeah, the curly tail.
The curly tail lizards. I know. Way to be descriptive. Thanks, Jem. So which do you think was introduced? Because we in Florida have a lot of invasive species, right?
Yeah.
Which do you think was introduced first? Those or the armadillo?
Ooh. Wait, so, okay. I'm going to go with armadillo.
Ding, 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 ding!
armadillo's been here since the 1920s, and the curly-tailed lizard got introduced in the 1940s. And I remember last time you were down here, Glenn, I pointed one out to you, and you'd never seen one before.
I had never seen one before. We don't have those in Ocala, I don't think.
No, yeah.
Really?
It was when he was down after Irma. He came down to set up his shop in Boca, and we were walking out of where we ate for lunch, and he's like, "What is that?"
Oh my gosh, that's too funny.
Yeah,
So, a coworker of mine recently asked me if the little lizards were miniature lizards or if they were baby lizards. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure they're baby lizards. I don't think there are miniature lizards.
Not like miniature horses. Doesn't work that way.
No, I don't think so.
Horses?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. Are they called ponies?
No, see, that's the thing. They're so small, but they're more genetically like a horse than a pony, so they're miniature horses.
So are they like
They
dog
look like
size?
a little horse. Oh, yeah, big dog size.
So could you keep it in the house?
Yeah, a lot of people do, and they use them for therapy animals now.
Really?
Miniature horses, yep.
Oh, man.
Take them in the hospitals.
I think I now have an interest in miniature horse.
To add to your menagerie.
Yeah.
Of 3 dogs and 2 cats, right?
Yeah. Well, one of my cats has abandoned us, but yeah, he doesn't want
Food wasn't good, I'm out.
That's probably what it is.
All right, true or false? In winter, Florida harbors the entire U.S. population of manatees.
Yes, that's true.
Yay, high five!
I'm doing it.
You're rocking it. Oh my gosh. Goodness gracious. Okay. All right, last question. Last question. Only females of this species bite. Which one is it? Is it A, mosquito, B, cockroaches, or C, love bugs? Only the females bite.
Mosquitoes.
Ding, 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 ding,
Really?
ding!
Wow. You got all but one.
I know,
Yeah.
right?
You're our best so far. You're going on the
doing it.
wall of fame. The wall of fame.
I'm doing it.
Thank you, Viv.
Thank you. That was fun.
Alrighty, guess what time it is, Glenn?
What time is it?
It's time for us to find out more fun stuff about the rest of the state of Florida.
Different kinds of animals need different kinds of habitats. And here in Florida, we have a variety of lands that offer a home to animals of all kinds.
Now, we couldn't get into more fun Florida stuff without introducing what will soon be a reoccurring segment of this show called Critters of Florida. We're going to share some crazy animal news from our state. First up, so we mentioned those huge gators that travel along the golf courses up here. How about you play a news clip for us, Glenn, and show the people what we're talking about?
Dinosaur-looking alligator invades a Florida golf course. An enormous alligator strolled onto the 7th green at a Florida golf club last week and has become a social media sensation. On March 6th, a women's tournament was going on at Micaiah Pines Golf Club in Inglewood, Florida. Golfers Bill, Susie, and Dick Huber were nearly halfway through a round on the 7th green when a massive alligator emerged from the surrounding swamp, startling the men because at first glance, the reptile kinda looked like a dinosaur. The pair snapped some pictures and posted them on Facebook, and they've since gone viral. Despite nearly daily sightings of several alligators, General Manager Mickey Zeta says no one has ever been attacked in the club's 37 years.
No big deal.
Many on the internet thought at first the alligator pictures were
I don't want to be the
photoshopped.
first.
Right.
But Zeta says the 12-foot gator isn't the biggest she's seen. Some around are as large as 16 feet. Like the club's most popular regular, Big George. I guess roaming gators are good for business in Florida.
I wonder how many golf balls are in that belly.
I know.
Golf balls.
Makes for an interesting x-ray.
Yeah. Yeah, having played on a golf course with a gator on the thing, we kept it a wide berth. You could keep our ball. We didn't care. On to the next one.
Enjoy your snack, gator. Moving on. Just don't make me one, please.
Yeah.
So it was insane when I saw that story, and I'm glad I was able to find it. But as I was looking for it, I just saw so many crazy animal stories. It was just too many to choose from. So I just want to share the headlines, right? Are you ready for this, Glenn?
All right, ready.
All right. How's this for Florida? Video shows thousands of fire ants traveling by raft across University of Florida campus.
Oh, that happened during a hurricane.
Yes,
and
it did.
That was just freaky looking.
Actually, no, it didn't. Well, it did happen during the hurricane,
Yeah.
but this story in particular was in April. So
Guess they're just floating all the time.
For this. No explanation whatsoever. Another one was Central Florida's giant land crabs are now emerging from the earth. Watch your toes.
Why do we
people.
live here?
Watch your toes. Oh, this is even better. Floridians are getting leprosy from armadillos at a higher rate than normal. So apparently it's normal.
How close do you have to get to the armadillo to get leprosy? That's my question. Because I don't usually snuggle with them. So
that's horrifying. And one of our listeners actually shared another story. This is coming from Jessica, who was, if you guys heard 1B, you heard her joining us at Disney Springs. So thank you, Jessica, for sending this in. So she says, well, my parents in Tallahassee found out their neighbor a few doors down owns a pet anaconda.
That's a big snake, people.
That's the biggest snake you can find. Oh, I get this. And she escaped.
Of course, because they always escape.
She said she made
people ever keep their snakes in the house.
Oh God, I knew when I was in high school, I had a friend whose pet snake was missing in their house for about 3 weeks.
I'm in a hotel. I'm not staying.
They eventually found it behind the fridge. Oh Lord! But Jessica says that her neighbor made local news and even had a video of her capture. So I'm going to try to link to the video because it's actually interesting and pretty cool. A local sheriff or officer actually captured it with her own 2 hands. It was really impressive.
Oh yeah, that's brave. I don't think they get paid enough for that.
Yeah, so I'll include a clip of that in the show notes. And Jessica says that the anaconda was captured and returned to the owner, and the neighbors were not happy about that. Can you imagine why?
I bet.
Yikes. All right, so this is a fun new segment for the show. It's going to be called What the Bleep. So we're going to share a news story with you, Glenn, and it has some... you have to guess what the animal is, the animal of the story.
It's quite the surprise for a homeowner in Medley after his toilet simply would not flush.
Turns out it was stuck inside. Local 10 News reporter Carlos Suarez is live this midday with this unbelievable story. Carlos, I would have freaked out if I saw this.
It's a safe bet that I'd say just about anyone that came into a bathroom and opened a toilet seat and saw something like that inside would freak out. So this man's natural curiosity and a bit of his handiwork ended up saving this one stuck. The video shows the moment that it was plucked from a pipe. We're told that the folks here kept using a bathroom that wasn't flushing well and that it kept leaking. Now, they tried to use a plunger, which of course was of no help, and that's when they decided to actually remove the toilet itself. It measured around 3 feet. It appeared that it was fine, and it was taken outside to live another day.
Oh, I would have to. There's some obvious answers: a snake, right? But 3 feet doesn't. I'm going to go with gator.
Nope. No, is that your final answer though? Because
that's my final answer. I'm going with gator.
It's wrong. It's wrong. Nope. It is an iguana. An iguana found its way into their piping and into their toilet.
I do like that looking up at you when you went to sit down.
Had to remove their toilet to get it out. Those poor guys.
I'm never going to the bathroom again in Florida.
Well, thank God it was stuck though, because imagine if it had wriggled free and was just sitting in your toilet.
Snakes in the toilet? That just freaks.
You just sat down, dropped trowels, took a plop. Ouch. That would have been awful. So thank God it was stuck. And those guys are braver than I am, let me tell you. Wow. And also people who are brave in a different way, people who are just lending their heart to the animals in Florida. And I just wanted to share this story because we also want to highlight some heroes here, right? So there is a local animal shelter that has figured out a really fun way to get their dogs adopted. And they did that by assigning them to different houses of Harry Potter based on their personalities, which I think is so cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so they're running around and they're assigned to, Gryffindor or Slytherin or Hufflepuff or whatever the other one is. Hufflepuff.
How do I know this and you don't?
I know, it's really crazy. But yeah, so they assign them to them. They even get like their own little scarf, and it's just.
I am not adopting the dog that's from Slytherin.
Oh gosh, I know. And they try to make it sound so positive too by saying like, oh, they're inquisitive and they're playful and they're clever. Yeah, exactly. I see right through that, Slytherin. I see.
They're lovely dogs when they get done eating your couch.
And it's so cute. Guess what they call the program, Glenn? Guess.
I don't know.
Oh my gosh. They call it, ready? Pawgwarts. I'm like, this is the cutest thing. So shout out to the Pet Alliance of the Greater Orlando area because you are doing it right. So you are a hero of the month.
The dogs. It's cute with all the little capes on too.
They're super cute, super cute. So way to go. So now it's time to guess that sound, Glenn. I'm going to play a sound for you. It's going to be a mystery sound. And this is going to be one for our listeners to guess and try to get the answers to. You can guess, but I'm not going to tell you if you're right till after we're off the air.
Okay.
So,
I never get it right anyway. So if I guess it, do not use my answer.
I know.
You're going to be wrong.
But someone who did get it right the last time, major shout out to Rhonda Crabtree out of Canada, our listener out of Canada, for getting the right answer. So, Glenn, play the clip and see what she got right, and then I'll tell you what the answer is. So it wasn't the cricket or whatever that was in the foreground, but in the background, it sounds kind of like a barking dog, and that's because it was the barking tree frog. So congratulations to Rhonda.
We have lots of those here.
Yeah, she wins some awesome FFP swag. So we're going to be.
But she's from Canada and knew that.
I know. It's very impressive. I'm from Florida, and I don't know all my frogs like that. I mean, shout out to Rhonda for getting that right and for listening all the way from Canada. So yay, Rhonda. Thank you. Now it's time to get into a bit of a more scandalous subject, Glenn. We've been talking about animals, right? The birds and the bees, the flowers and the trees, and all of that happens through the generations with that oh so natural call of the wild, mating. So this episode's mystery sound is the sound. It's actually two different ones. You're going to hear one clip and then a beep and then the other clip. And it's two different animals, and they're either it's their mating sound or it's the sound of them actually getting it on. So the first sound is the mating sound. Second sound is getting it on. Two different animals. Play that clip, Glenn.
Well.
Sounds like something you want in your backyard.
Yeah, whatever it is, I don't want to mate with it.
You don't want to be on the other end of that mating.
Yeah.
Tell me that's not the funniest thing you've ever heard.
Wait a minute, not done.
You had to take a break. Keep going.
Okay, I have to guess alligator on the first one.
Okay, and then what's your guess on the second one? I'm not telling you if you're even close or not. What's your guess on the second one?
Second one's squirrels. I don't know the second one. I go in squirrels. I'm going alligator and squirrels.
Alligator and squirrels. All right. So if you have a guess, guys, you're going to email me at Jemmy at FloridaPodcastNetwork.com. That's spelled Jaime at FloridaPodcastNetwork.com. Or look for our Mystery Sound post on our Facebook page, which will come out the day after this episode. I'm not even sure. But just look for it and comment. And the first person to comment and guess and get it right with both animals, you get your own piece of Finding Florida podcast swag. So play it again one more time for them, Glenn, please.
Okay, we can do that.
Still frightening.
Sounds like Jurassic Park.
I know. This one gets me every time I hear it. The first time I heard this and knew what it was a couple of years ago, and I died laughing. Once you know, the visual makes it even better. So I can't wait for everyone to find out what that is. It's so good. So good. Oh my gosh. And lastly, this has to be one of the best pieces of news I've ever heard in my entire life. And it just deserves a quick honorable mention at the end of this show because Florida we are known for all of our weird news, and nothing gets weirder than, this is true, a baby named Frankenstein, born in Florida.
Like a human baby?
A human baby named Frankenstein, born in Florida. And that's his last name, not his first name, right?
Jeez.
On Halloween. So happy birthday.
No. Who does that?
To little baby Frankenstein.
Who does that?
Born on Halloween.
To their child.
No,
they have to live with that.
It's their family name. It's not like, it's like Bobby Frankenstein or something like that. I don't know what the first name of the kid is, but
I got that wrong. I totally misunderstood you. Do you want to do that?
No.
Okay.
It's funny. Ruin the momentum, Glenn.
Sorry.
So, yeah.
Sorry, I totally misunderstood you.
No. So little baby Frankenstein was born in Florida on Halloween. So happy birthday to baby Frankenstein.
Oh, man. There's just some things that people should not be named, and Frankenstein is one.
I think it's awesome.
Well, there are so many animal encounters you can have in Florida, and not just roadkill, although you see a lot of that too.
Yeah, we will.
And you just get a sneak peek inside of the fun road trip that we had along Route 1. That's on our next episode. It'll be coming out in a couple days, so look for it in your feed. So definitely, we had a good time. You're going to learn all about the different animals. We did a ton of interviews, and we had a lot of fun along the way, and there was some eating involved, and not all of it enjoyable.
And some eating and some near puking.
Yes. So that'll be in the next episode. Look for that. And as for our next adventure, we are headed to Daytona Beach, and Jemmy is heading up our way for a thing we do for the Horse Radio Network called Radiothon right after Thanksgiving. And then that week, we're heading over to Daytona Beach, and we're doing something we're calling the Wheels of Daytona Beach. Of course, Daytona Beach, known for racing, known for cars, known for wheels, known for the motorcycles. So we're going to go over there and see how many wheel-related experiences we can have in one day. We're going to try and get on as many wheels, doing as many wheeled adventures as we can, and to see, we're going to do a count at the end of the day, and to see how many wheels that comes up to. Will it be 20? Will it be 40? Will it be 100? We're gonna check that out in Daytona Beach, and they've been so cooperative and working with us up there to get this accomplished. We're very excited to ride all different modes of transportation. So everybody, it's another challenge adventure on the next episode, due out the end of December in Daytona Beach.
Woohoo! I'm so excited, Glenn. To find us on social media or send us an email to see our show notes with all the great pictures and links, join us at findingfloridapodcast.com.
And here's to your next adventure.
3, 2, 1. Just a quick reminder for all of you. Sorry, start over. I hear you yelling at me. Okay, here we go.
NPR. I am NPR Jamie. Just a quick reminder for all the early fans of the Florida Podcast Network. Go ahead and jump into the FPN Insiders on Facebook. It's a closed group exclusively for super fans of our shows, such as the Finding Florida Podcast.
Hating you right now.
And we'll give you guys access to early scoops, contests, and other special
Why are you
treats.
so breathy?
So Glenn and I look forward to meeting you in there.
You're such a weirdo. Called Critters of Florida, where we will share.
Where we're
Time to start all over.
That's the reason I like doing this show. I can just make fun of you forever.
Shut up.